Thursday, June 11th, 2024. Bonjour, nous sommes mardi, le 11 juin, et on vous revient en français à 11 heures. Si tout est correct, là, des fois, on a des petits retards, alors soyez patients. Merci. So anyways, welcome everyone, and hopefully, you'll be watching on this Tuesday morning, and I'm going to play a message for all the newcomers, so please stay tuned. Okay, now if I can find it.
Attention, Canadians. Feel disconnected from our current political system? Join the Powershift to Freedom movement by the Canadian People's Union and be part of a bold vision for Canada's future. It's time to shift the political power to its rightful owners, the Canadian citizens and Indigenous peoples of Canada. Dive into our history, understand the need for change, and embark on the quest for true democracy. Are you concerned about our nation's commitment to human rights and self-governance? The Powershift to Freedom aligns with vital treaties and international laws, enabling us to claim our rightful place as collective head of state. We advocate replacing our partocracy system with a true democracy to ensure your voice counts more than party interests. When our national collective civil and political rights are respected, your influence on policies will be direct and impactful. Join us on this noble struggle to make every Canadian and Indigenous peoples a meaningful participant in our future. People 15 years old and over can sign the Convention of Consent and unite for our rights in the Constitution. Ready to be part of this transformative movement? Visit thecpu.ca for more details. Embrace the change and shape our future.
Okay, and we're back. There we go. So welcome everyone, and again, finally back where I live in on Six Nations territory, Six Nations of the Grand River in Ontario. It's finally a sunny day so far. We've had rain and rain and rain and rain. I don't know if you guys if you've suffered the same torments we have here, but our gardens are kind of waterlogged, and so much for hopefully they'll they'll be able to get some warmth today and some sun, and our gardens will start to flourish again. But anyways, I wish everyone luck with their gardens this year. It's going to be apparently a wet one, so not sure there. So anyways, today's topic is about the end times of Canada. And I've been seeing this since 2007, 2008, when I really woke up and stopped taking the Kool-Aid. So, if you don't drink the Kool-Aid, then you might have a chance in staying, sane with everything that's going on. And, if Canada for you is the same as what it was, well, hey, good luck with that. But right now, Canada is no longer what I was raised to believe it was. There's some, things happening at the hands of our governments. And why do I blame our politicians for everything that's happened in Canada? That's because the politicians are the ones creating the laws. They're the ones deciding Canada's every move, technically. And, we've in Canada, we've actually abdicated our power, our political power to politicians without being really asked if we were willing to abdicate our political power to them. So back in the 60s, and this is what the CPU is about, what you'll learn about us is that we have collective rights as Canadian citizens and Indigenous peoples in Canada. And that was made legal in 1960. Whether a country signed on to it or not, it's just the way it is. And that's international law. We have the right to collective self-determination, and we're allowed to self-determine as many times as we want. So who is making the rules in Canada? It's the government. The people aren't. They'll say, well, we do have little committees and we ask the people. And how many times do you ask the people? Do we have referendums in Canada? Not unless they're by design and not for the benefit of the people. And who are the true shareholders, co-owners of Canada? It is the people, both Indigenous nations and Canadian citizens, since 1960. So why do we still have the crown in Canada? Well, that's the paradox. That's the delusion. And that's the illusion we live in. Okay. So right now, Canada is unrecognizable as far as I'm concerned. This is not the country that I was told it was. And what do we do with that? So there's a lot of things happening where our rights are being destroyed, and the rights of the people are being destroyed worldwide. So unfortunately, we, the people, need to take action. And the action that we need to take is a legal one. And this is why the CPU is here. This is why we literally always say that, hey, our right to civil and political self-determination in our country. We are the ones who should be determining what happens to our natural resources, not the government. And yet, people are suffering right across Canada. Canadian citizens are out on the street. We've got children dying. We've lost a bunch of seniors, and even again this week, I was told by a lawyer, oh my God, my clients died of COVID. And it's like, okay, well, there's that issue. And but anyways, the bottom line for the CPU is not about everything that's happened in Canada. It is about that, because it's time to take our power back. Otherwise, we're going to lose everything. It will be the end times. And the end times are happening worldwide within governments. What is the end times about? Is it about the planet turning over and chaos will ensue? Is it about digital ID coming out and everybody, you'll own nothing, but you'll be happy, because then you'll be, we'll let you do what you want. You can drink in the parks, you can smoke up wherever you want, eat all the gummy bears you want. So while you're being entertained somewhere else, they're stealing our country, and they've stolen our country because we've been asleep at the wheel. Well, some of us anyway. Hey, right now, everything that's happening across this country there's so much we can't even keep up. And the thing is we're being I had discussed that I want to make a show in regards to what's happening. Like if I just walk around your garden, especially if you're on Six Nations territory or Indigenous reserve, please look at the vegetation and what happened. I mean, they spray us every year for gypsy moth, and it burns the flowers, it burns the vegetation, it kills our gardens. It killed my lilac trees. And we're breathing this in. So whether it's a bad batch, then they're not mixing, but it looks like Agent Orange. So what does that do to people? Why are people so sick? What's the technology that they're forcing upon us without even testing? Same with new experimental drugs without really testing, and yet the government's saying, oh, it's safe. Oh, yes. Go and jump off a bridge. It's safe. You'll live. I'm telling you, it's safe. Jump off the bridge, and I guarantee you it's safe. We live in insane times. So, how sane do you want to remain? What helps me is my gardens. Uh, doesn't look like much, but at least it's something. And I'm proud of them. And, Dennis and I go around the yard and listen. And I'd rather be listening to the sound of nature than to listen to a radio or music or like a CD or whatever, It's so relaxing. So last night we had our first um, fire. Okay. We have a medicine wheel, and we have gazebos inside the medicine wheel. And then we have a fire pit that we call our sacred fire. So, these are things that we can kind of bring us back to nature, and do these things to stay sane. And, it's the sound of nature is just brings you back to um, the basics, that I can say. Like we had our first fire yesterday to kind of bless this thing and to get the summer really going, and to connect all the we'll have to connect all the fires worldwide together, and with the earth and the sun, and um creator, the spark of creator. So anyways, we couldn't do this because we had a little family of robins that installed themselves right above the branch where there's never usually any. I mean, I've been here 15 years. We've never had a bird's nest there except for this year. And these were really, this is an odd family of robins, like a different variation of them. And then we ended up noticing that we've got two different families of birds that have moved in. So, anyways, our place is like a sanctuary, bird sanctuary. And people say, well, isn't there lots of messes in that? No, I mean that's why you have hoses for. And so everything gets cleaned up. The rain cleans everything up, and we've got all kinds of different birds. And we had this gazebo, and a tree in a big storm fell on it. And it's kind of ironic because everything falls off the house, but you know. So, anyways, we were going to take it all down because it was a little bit crooked at the top there, and we thought, well, the birds were using it, so we thought, well, let's leave it for the birds. And sure enough, it's like our yard now has become a bird sanctuary for all kinds. But we sit there at night having coffee and discuss about what we're going to be doing with this country of ours. And we have rabbits, squirrels, chipmunks, all kinds of different birds, red-breasted grosbeaks, orioles, hummingbirds, the blue jays. Everybody kind of gets along, and the they're numerous. So and they all eat, where underneath our bird feeders, where because the birds kind of chucks them aside, and then so everybody the doves eat at their bottom feeders, so they clean that up, and the babies. So right now we're in the baby time. Okay, so all the babies are now starting, and it's beautiful to watch when you see the mothers and the fathers both feeding the babies and everything else. And it brings you back to reality, to sanity, actually, of what life should be, the family construct. And last year, we were able to witness the parents trying to show the babies to fly further because they were getting ready, the orioles, to fly from one tree to a further tree and then to a further tree. And the babies were like, no way, we're not going there. So the parents kept flying back and forth until finally they all went. But it's very interesting because, it's again the basics of family. What's a family? Our governments have destroyed our family construct. They're destroying all of this over time, and this has been an agenda, from who knows who. that controls our governments. So now they got us to abdicate our duty as co-owners, shareholders of the Crown of Canada, of all of the natural resources to allow, politicians to make decisions for us and to do all the work, and and then while we can play and lead our lives and whatever. Big mistake, people. Big mistake. People would not, our families would not be in this dilemma today if we had taken care of our natural resources, decided what corporations were able to use those natural resources, what percentage would Canadians and Indigenous peoples in Canada get from those natural resources. And then we'd be able to control taxation if we needed to pay taxes. Because when you have a whole bunch of natural resources, we're one of the biggest country, well, we're the second biggest country in the world with all of these natural resources, with 40, below 40 million people. So all of our natural resources, we are exporting over 67%. And this is private corporations who own the rights to these natural resources. And how much do we get back? This should be your priority. How much do we get back? How much goes back into Canada? Our human resources, Canadians are human resources, and Indigenous peoples. We're all, human cattle to them now. We're being put in a slave position, and we've always been in a slave position, just that we didn't notice it. Okay. Oh, well, you're getting paid to do this job anyways, and now you're going to pay, because how many people know that when you have capital gains, you have $100,000 cottage, let's say two to $1 million cottage. So let's use 100,000 to keep it simple for the people. And the government wants 63%. That's $63,000 off of your capital gains that you've just made off of your cottage. Anything else that you invest, every time you invest, you have to give it to the Canadian government. Where do we draw the line here? You've worked, people have worked all of their lives to be able to leave something to their children, to be able to leave this place peacefully, to know they've worked hard, they've, earned their money, they've, for the family construct, they did the best they could, and they'd like to leave their families a little something. Well, the thing is, you can say, okay, well, it's a gift, but then either ways, the next year, the families are going to be taxed on it. So anything you give. Well, when you're selling a cottage, then, 100,000, you've made $100,000 off your cottage, and you want to use that for your retirement. Well, how much is left off, when they take $63,000 off of $100,000. And this is what the Canadian government is doing. This is how they're stealing the money from Canadian citizens. Are you not upset over this? I mean, a lot of people say, oh, well, I don't own anything, so I don't care. Well, you pay taxes on your employment. You pay taxes on everything you need to get to that employment. You pay taxes on everything you do, all of your entertainment. But who gets to reap the rewards, really, from, the natural resources and everything? So I'm just noticing something here. Okay, this caption is not playing. There we go. Oh, there it is. Follow us on Restream. There we go. That's not the right one. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to do that. Hide. There we go. And it's not showing me all of our other ones. Ticker, which is kind of weird. Okay, so anyways, we're supposed to be able to show yous our ticker tape, and it's not working this morning. Um, so I don't know why, but um, it's mainly for to show you information about the CPU, how to join the CPU, and to be able to actually. Oh, this is why maybe. Let's see here. Did anything change? And I'm just going to go here to captions. Okay, ticker. Okay. It doesn't show me that. Okay. So, anyways, hopefully you can still see me. Everything's fine. Okay. So, anyways, what I was saying is we the natural resources go for the cost of upkeep of this country, and a lot of people have the misconception that everything in Canada, if you buy a house you own that land. No, you don't, because it's all of the lands in Canada stay for Canada, for Canadians. Because if you were to sell a piece of land to somebody from Australia or New Zealand or anywhere else in the world, United States, then that land, if we were to say, okay, well, now they own it. No, they only get to lease that piece of land, and they you make a capital gain on the investment, or you get your investment back in the demand for the market value, as the demand goes up. And so you might make money or you might lose money depending on the demand. And you know so if we were to say, okay, well, everybody owns that little piece of land, then Canada would no longer be Canada. The country would no longer would cease to be, it would be Canada, but without that piece of land, because it's somebody else that owns it. So basically, the way that other countries have gotten around that is to be able to own a lot of things in Canada, and especially the United States. And this is where Brian Mulroney and practically gave us back, gave all of our access to our natural resources to international corporations, or actually to the United States, to be able to, because, oh, they're a trading partner. Well, the thing is what a lot of people don't know is that a few years ago, it took about 4 years for the United States to take over a company, and from the United States to take over our bullions. So our bullions are no longer managed by our own people, and that's our natural resources, some of that. And the thing is our financial resources. So we have financial resources, we have human resources, and we have natural resources. Okay, so all of these things, what could this country, with all of its natural resources and all of the exports, would it be able to sustain itself without the people having to take taxation? Well, guess what? We don't know. Why? Because our government doesn't tell us. It just tells us their budget. When they create a budget, okay, they don't tell you how much the corporation has made. Okay, they just talk about the budget. Well, we need so much money to be able to survive, and we're going to reduce the budget, and we're saving money, so that you're impressed about the budget. Okay, hospitals. Back in 2007, I found out how many billions of dollars hospitals make. But they'll tell you, oh, please donate to the hospital. We don't make enough because our budgets are limited. Doesn't tell you about what's in the bank accounts. Is that limited? Oh, we're only going to give you so much money out of our funds to run the hospital. Cut wherever you want to, but you're not getting a dime more. We need money to go vacationing. So you're not getting the rest of it. So how do Canadians find out how much money. And a lot of people had this misguided conception that they were worth millions, but like we worked and we were. I mean, that's again the common law stuff. Nah, leave that out of this topic. What we're interested is about what Canadians and the value of Canada is, and what we can do with our money, who gets to control our money, and through collective self-determination, we'd have that power. Without it, we have nothing except being debt slaves. So if you want to keep being a debt slave, that's your prerogative. But you don't want to be a debt slave anymore? You want to bring back this country to better than what it could ever have, than what it ever was, where people get along, where people work together to make a country flourish, because everybody is looking forward to seeing what they can do with a country and how it can flourish and how they can flourish. So if we make this country flourish, our families will flourish. Drain, I'd hate to use this term, drain the swamp. Okay. If you drain the people from their resources, that's how you control them. So now they've attacked our family construct, our family dynamics, the basics of the family. And the thing is how do we survive all this? How do we protect our children, their future, our future, and the future of this country? Well, it's by Canadians standing up with the CPU and legally, okay, to do it legally. So now it looks like we're going to be banned off of Facebook completely again with the Powershift.ca. They've banned our CPU our CPU company, and but they've allowed us with to remain with the Powershift. And now I received a notice this morning that we might be banned again there for misinformation. Well, I'd like to show you something that came out on Blacklocks this morning. So we're going to do a little share screen here. I'm just going to make sure I've got it here. Yep. Okay. So share screen. Okay, share. So now I hope you can all see this. This is Blacklocks Reporter, Tuesday, June 11th. Okay, so Canada Revenue Agency last year paid more than $250,000 to distribute fake news articles written by employees, records show. 2 dailies were among the newsroom that published the agency's handout stories as legitimate items. The purpose of these articles was to inform Canadians, the agency wrote in an inquiry of ministry tabled in the Senate. The articles were to help amplify its messaging in order to reach Canadians that it would not normally have access to through their own channels. The agency said no examples of agency-written stories were provided. So the 2 dailies identified as publishers of ghost-written news were the Lethbridge Herald and the Hamilton Spectator. The fake stories were distributed through News Canada Inc., a Toronto broker. Canada Inc., a Toronto broker, paid $233,457 by the agency in the past year. So News Canada Inc. distributes ready-to-use content to editors, and an earlier Blacklock search indicated stories were attributed to News Canada without identifying the government's authorship. So what they did is the ghost written articles meet the federal definition of fake news. So the Department of Canadian Heritage, in a 2017 memorandum to the minister, described fake news as a state-sponsored content. Creators of fake news are non-traditional sources, i.e. not journalists, individuals. They are individuals on social media, individuals not preoccupied with facts, said the Access to Information memo. Characteristics of fake news included content that authors are quick to create and share and not constrained by research or fact checking, it said. So, you know, when the government is paying for fake news, it's unbelievable. And they're creating the propaganda, and we've known this all along. So here it says, access to accurate information from diverse perspectives underpins our democratic institutions, said the memo. The Inquirer of Ministry said ghostwritten revenue agency articles were published by numerous weeklies and periodicals. Client publishers included Alberta Business Review, the Essex Free Press, Ethic Food and Drink, Lac Saint Anne Bulletin, uh, Lambton Standard, and Leamington South Point Sun. So agency handouts were also published by the Mountaineer, Niagara Falls Review, North Grenville Times, Okanagan Weekend, Penticton Herald, Temiskaming Speaker, Weekly Bean, Welland Tribune, White Court Press, and Winkler Modern Voice. So there you go, people. Fake news, fake news, fake news. But, this has been started by actually the governments all along. I mean, back in 2006, I came across a document where Bush Jr. was actually paying about 800 people to post false information, propaganda online. So it didn't just start today, So, anyways, the thing is how do we recognize our Canada? What are the end times for Canada? The end times for Canada, the end of the family as we know it. They want to change they want to switch to digital ID. Money will become, cash will no longer be king or queen or whatever. Cash will be nowhere to be seen because the plans are to outlaw cash so that they go to the digital ID. Again, you'll be rich. You'll be you'll own nothing, but you'll be happy. Okay, so they're going to they've offered all kinds of incentives for people to want this digital ID. We no longer recognize our institutions. Our values are totally different. Are now because everything is inclusive. When you take the bus, do you recognize anybody you know on there? Probably not. They're calling it a replacement. So replacing people from countries to countries. And I saw this under the new programs that they had. Just pack your bags and we'll ship you somewhere in another country for work. And you can work on vacation. It's like a work vacation. Canadians can go over there, and we've made agreements with over 60 countries. Who are the 60 countries? So you can go there for a year and get paid. And so it's a transfer of people. And then they came up with, the migration. What for? Replacement. People were working, the women who and men who were working in banks, bank tellers, doing a decent living, were now being replaced. And they're the ones who had to train. Back in 2008 and 2010, the tellers had to train their new replacements. And they were given a package, and there you go away. We're going to start paying these people a lot cheaper. So corporations found out how they can infiltrate themselves into government and then pay political parties to do their bidding. And then, here comes public-private partnerships. Yay, Mulrooney. Yay, Conservatives. Neither. No political party so far in the last 100 years actually cared about Canadian people. That's the reality. And Indigenous peoples. So once we find a true politician hopefully they'll remain independent. Right now, everybody's got their, hopes on the conservatives. You're only going to find out if they stood behind their words when it's too late. So what happens then? We're always too late. Are you fed up of doing the same thing over and over again, only to come back even worse than what we were to begin with? It's a spinning cycle. We're a bunch of dogs chasing their tails. Are you fed up? It's your money, people. You are richer and more powerful than you know. If you act upon what we ask you to do, which is unite properly with the CPU, become a member, spread the word, talk just about your rights to collective self-determination along with every other Canadian, and say that you know everything that you do, you are protected by law because you're activating your civil and political rights. So we want to stop the end times being created by politicians, the end times of the life as we know it, the end times of Canada as we know it, the end times for the Indigenous nations as they know it. Even though they've been struggling, it's going to get even worse because there's a replacement policy being put in place. That's what it looks like. And everybody worldwide is being put into a melting pot by the elite to have us fighting against one another. Well, that shouldn't be the plan. We should be all standing up for one another because everybody from every country is richer and more powerful than they know. And if everybody listened to the CPU and what we stand for, we've got books that Genevieve and Richard have put together, letters that we've written. So we're going to be placing all of this out. If you want to look at some of the stuff that we've written, hey, join the CPU. You'll have access to all of that. Just go on our website, read what we're talking about in our blog. Read the blog, see what you can do, how you can contribute, because it's the end times of your family. It's the end times of Canada as we know it. It's the end times for everybody who was proud of this great country and, our natural resources. Well, it may be the end times, but at the same time, we can flip this around because maybe it's the end times of corruption. Huh? So they want an end times? Let's give them one. It's the end times of political corruption, political and corporate corruption. Okay. Let's make this country more than it ever was, because finally it will belong to all peoples here in this country. There's two groups, the Indigenous side and the Canadian citizens side. Let's play fair here. Okay. Shared responsibility, shared country, partnership in all that happens in Canada so that both groups can prosper. It doesn't mean that this is, we can have, the corporations will have to adhere to what the people demand. We are allowed legally to take back our natural resources and renegotiate those the proper way. So we can clean this mess up, people. So they want an end times. They want to create an end times of all we know, all we cherish, so that we can become their complete slaves, like in China. You got to look on your phone to see if you can leave the door that day. And if you didn't give to charity, you can't leave, or you can't take the bus, or you can't take a cab. You can't do this. You can't leave the country. Is this the life you want, or you want to turn it around? Let's turn the end times on its head by the government and remove the corruption. So every government worldwide right now is trying to do this, but not all countries, but most of them are trying to, who are under the Commonwealth realm. Let's get rid of the Commonwealth realm and King Charles as our leaders here in decision making for what kind of laws Canada is going to have, because they all copy from one another. So we've studied all this. We know where some of the information is coming from, what is supposed to be under the rule of law, the true rule of law, not ruled by law for dictatorship, like we're seeing today, creating laws to protect politicians because they're corrupted and they're afraid of the people coming at them. Who is it? Always, I'm going to leave you with this one thing. Who is it? The one who is creating the chaos is the one you cannot talk about. And this is one of the first things I learned in 2008 when I first when I decided that we didn't need a hospital project that I was working on. What was needed was cleaning our governance. And this is why it took a lot of research and a lot of knowledge, gained knowledge, to be able to say, hey, we can do this legally. Canadians and the Indigenous nations together in a partnership in our Constitution can change things around legally. And other countries can do the same worldwide. So if you don't want to, own nothing and be happy and be, because Canada plans on changing your mind we've done lots of videos on, how Canada wants to, with transhumanism, the Canadian government wants to change your mind. It wants to manipulate your mind. So all the crazies out there who are manipulating everybody in government and trying to get their way and threatening all kinds of politicians or doctors or whatever, they can't fight almost 40 million people. They can't fight 5 million people. So let's see how many people we can get under the CPU. The right way. Do this the right way, with the right laws and the right arguments, because there will be arguments over this, and you need to know exactly what to say. You need to know exactly what happened to be able to answer those questions. So we need to educate everybody. You need to be educated. We've got the information in our community and on our website. And then once we see how many people are invested in doing this and that, yes, it's possible, then we may have a very good chance of becoming the true shareholders, co-owners of the Crown of Canada, because we already are. We already have that right. We just need to enforce it. We need to bring it forward, and we need to destroy the corruption that the made-up end times by our governments, and those, like, depending on in which context they're talking about. Well, let's make sure that Canada faces the end times of corruption. Political corruption, corporate corruption. We can do this. So we flipped the table around because finally people will understand that they are richer and more powerful than they know, but you need to take action. Okay? It's not by just waving a sign. It's by taking the proper action. And that's what the CPU is about. So unfortunately, we can only rely on Canadian citizens and Indigenous peoples here in Canada to help us right now. We're looking at other things at the international level. But right now in Canada, you need to spread the word. You need to spread the word to everybody. Your children, 15 years and older, can sign our Citizens Convention of Consent. Go and sign your Convention of Consent. Spread the word. If you don't spread the word of the CPU cannot help you, cannot help this country. We depend on every single human being in Canada to make this move forward. And other countries. Right now, there's somebody in Kenya that was asking about our convention of consent. So hopefully we'll be able to get one ready for them, and do the same thing, and kind of work with other countries to do the same. But again, we were hoping to do this in France, but unfortunately, one of the women there that we were working with passed away from cancer. So it was really amazing to see what was happening in France at the time, and it was during the Yellow Vest. So nothing got carried there. But at the same time, there is hope for everybody. But we need to look at, what they're trying to do in these end times that they're talking about, is to switch it around and make it work for the people in the end times of corruption. Again, for the people. It's time to put the natural resources in the hands of both the Indigenous and Canadian citizens, and to prosper and to really, really protect our loved ones and everything we love about this great country, because it can be a lot, much, much more than it's ever been, and not just to us, but to everybody worldwide who can do the same. So now we'll be back in French in about 11 minutes. Thank you very much, and stay tuned. Pass this around, because we're going to be banned everywhere. We're being banned everywhere. So, keep this in mind. The one you cannot speak about is usually the one doing the damage and screaming victim. Okay. So, and for reason. So again, with us, they're trying to ban us. Why? Because we're the solution. Make sure that you know about the solution, that your children know about the solution, and get involved today at the cpu.ca, and let's show them that it doesn't need, it'll be end times for them, but a beautiful beginning for all Canadians and Indigenous peoples worldwide. Thank you very much. And keep that in mind. Keep that close to your heart. Okay, and the next time I'll come to you from the medicine wheel. Ciao.
Dive into 2024 with the CPU's dynamic campaign, set to energize Quebec and Ontario by reaching 75,000 homes with our empowering message. Every contribution you make is pivotal, driving this ambitious initiative forward and ensuring our information lands directly in communities via Canada Post. We extend special thanks to our dedicated CPU members, whose grassroots efforts amplify our reach. This campaign is your gateway to being part of a significant movement for change. Whether you choose to donate or volunteer, your participation is key to our success. Join us in making 2024 a victorious year for collective freedom and community action with the CPU.